I started One Piece fan letter expecting so much, and it still gave me more than I could ever ask for. Hello there, people, how are you? Still in disbelief that a mere 20-minute episode managed to not only capture the essence of the story, but also make every fan feel seen? Because I sure am. Since its release, I've been hearing about the greatness of newest One Piece special honoring the 25th anniversary of the series, and I finally watched it. Not gonna lie, I went to it expecting a good but overrated episode carried by nostalgia and sadness of fans who'll have to wait for 6 months before One Piece anime comes back. But God, was I wrong. What I thought would be a sweet goodbye to One Piece for this year ended up being one of the best episodes yet. Without exaggerating, I would say that Fan Letter is on the same level as some of the top episodes we saw in Enies Lobby, Marineford or Wano. Modern animation that we had the opportunity to see in newer episodes, fast pacing that we are definitely not used to, a completely new perspective that we have never seen the story from, and nostalgia for the previous arcs are put together in a perfect whole that is this special. And all thanks to Megumi Shitani, who I hope will work in this industry for a long time, because she is doing a fantastic job. If I were to go through each and every aspect that made Fan Letter so good, we would be here for hours, and I simply don't have patience for that right now, because I really want to talk about the one thing I believe stands out and gives this episode the charm that swooned us all. I'm of course talking about its relation to the fans. It's no secret that Fan Letter is tribute to the fans. I mean, the protagonist is literally a fan trying to deliver a letter to her idol. So yeah, I don't think you need me to tell you that One Piece Fan Letter is actually about fans. But what I do think we need to talk about is how well it understands us. One Piece is not the first show to recognize its audience, however, it does it much better than any series I've seen before. It understands that people behind the screen are not just fans, but humans made of blood and flesh who are capable of understanding the story and relating to it because of their unique experiences. This sounds a bit contradictory considering how the episode is structured. The idea is simple: make every fan feel seen, and the way the episode goes about this is quite simple as well. Characters have no names, their personalities are vague, none of them have a specific backstory, significant relationships almost don't exist, and the one that does is very vaguely done. Them being this ambiguous tells both you and me that there are no requirements to love and relate to One Piece's characters. You don't have to come from a specific backstory to love Nami. You don't have to live the same life as Luffy to be inspired by him. You don't have to be a success story to have a strong opinion about Zoro. But on the other hand, any of these things can be a reason for you to appreciate Straw Hats. As I already said, we don't know anything about these people, not even their names. For all we know, a little girl could be a survivor of a fate much worse than Nami's. Marine, who is obsessed with Chopper, might be ostracized as a child because, I don't know, he was big and muscular and others called him monster for that. Brooke's fangirl could have been isolated her whole life. We don't know and we are not supposed to. These characters can be anyone regardless of age, gender and experience. They are meant to represent us all, and that's what raises the question. How can we say that One Piece understands its fans and treats them like people if the characters representing fans are so vague? Based on everything I said up to this point, it's not that One Piece necessarily knows its fans. Characters simultaneously aren't anyone and can be everyone, meaning there is nothing to know. Fan Letter is not a deep dive into the life or psyche of the audience, and it doesn't know the personal struggles of fans. But what it does understand and know is what connects us with each other and the characters. While we don't have many information on the new cast, each one of them has a characteristic we all share: undying love for the crew and a reason for it. The understanding that One Piece Fan Letter shows is not about knowing the fans on a personal level, but knowing what we love about the characters. This episode understands what brings us together regardless of our background. It knows how each fanbase in the fandom function, and while there are plenty of reasons why we love our favorite characters, Fan Letter focuses on the one it knows is universal. The best examples of this are the little girl and the older brother Marine. As they are the most prominent characters, we get to see a lot of things from their perspective and are the easiest to relate to. Little Girl is a big Nami fan who appreciates Straw Hat's navigator for plenty of reasons. She finds her pretty, cool, smart, but most importantly, she loves that Nami, who is not particularly strong, gets to enjoy adventures she believed were reserved for great fighters. In the world of One Piece, strength is an extremely important factor that it largely determines how far you can go. At this point in the story, we met all kinds of threats, and as we are getting closer to the end, the characters are only getting stronger. But here she is, the icon, the legend, the moment, surviving and experiencing all of it thanks to her intelligence, wit, and of course, great friends she got by being so charming. Nami not being strong but still important and great character is one of the main reasons why we love her. In the world of monsters who have all kinds of powers and potential to destroy the world, she, as quote-unquote weak person, is a breath of fresh air. As a huge Nami fan myself, I always look up to her fights because I know it's not just going to be throwing punches. For her to win, she has to think, find her opponent's weakness, and come up with a strategy. But aside from it being entertaining, it's also inspiring. Nami and Usopp are the two characters that are closest to fans due to them being the most normal, so seeing that they can enjoy all of these adventures and face all of their challenges tells us that we can do the same. In a world where one specific skill is valued above others, they manage not only to survive, but actually live. And that's what inspired us and the girl. She believed that in a great pirate era there is no place for a weak person like her, and was prepared to live in shadows forever. Then, by an accident, she saw a wanted poster of a woman that doesn't fit into this norm. Her seeing Nami was more than just finding a cool person that does insane things. It was proof that she deserves to enjoy life and that there is a place for everyone. She got to see a person with same qualities as her living a dream and finally got the courage to do the same. Of course, it wasn't as simple as that. Initially, the girl tried copying Nami, believing that the only reason she succeeded was because, well, she was Nami. But as the episode went on, she slowly realized that there is no need for that. She can be herself and achieve great things, just like Nami did. And she doesn't have to do it alone. One detail I love in particular about the girl's story was that she didn't reach Sunny alone. But with the help of a guy she wasn't really fond of. I feel like by including that, the story also acknowledges that even Nami herself couldn't achieve everything alone. Yes, she was resilient, hardworking, smart, stubborn, and ready to do everything to survive and help her village. But if it wasn't for Luffy and the Straw Hats, she wouldn't be where she is today. So by having a girl ask for help, the story recognizes one more thing we as fans appreciate about Nami. The Marine guy is quite a different story, both in his similarities to Luffy and the way he shows his admiration. He is a Navy soldier who dedicated his life to fighting pirates, directly opposing the future Pirate King. He is serious, not very lucky, and most importantly, doesn't really like his brother. But just like the girl, he saw the Straw Hat Pirate when he needed it the most, and the effect that it had on him is the same one Luffy had on us. It was the middle of the biggest war of the Great Pirate era. People were dying left and right, and all for a man that the world saw as a devil. The guy was severely injured and his brother was trapped under a block of ice. And it put him in an impossible situation. On one hand, it's his brother, but on the other, he's injured, the lasers are flying around them, and there is no guarantee he can pull his brother under all that ice. The logic and fear were pushing him towards a decision that he would regret for the rest of his life. And that's when he sees Luffy, who is in much worse shape than him, charging forward with no hesitation. The strongest people in the world are trying to stop him, but he's determined to reach Ace no matter what, because it's his brother. This moment didn't change the Marine from the core. It didn't change his life path and made him a pirate. Unlike the girl, he had no desire to copy Luffy or tell him what he did for him. Instead, it just pushed him towards what he already wanted but was too afraid to do. Despite him not being close to his brother and finding him annoying, he still loved him and didn't want him to die. He didn't need Luffy to convince him that saving his brother was the right thing to do. He just needed a push. And if Luffy knows anything, it's how to encourage people to go for what they want, even when he is not aware that he is doing that. This is why the guy admires him so much and the reason why he is so beloved in the fandom. Like with Nami, there are plenty of reasons to love Luffy, but I believe his conscious or unconscious impact on others is the one that connects us all. Of course, we need to take into account that this is a largely known fact, so to say that fan letter understands fans deeply because it recognizes our admiration for Luffy's literal selling point is a bit of a stretch. But that's where the way our love for that quality is represented comes into play. As I just said, Luffy didn't change the Marine in the sense that he became another person. In fact, if he was in the position, he would arrest Luffy because it's his job and something he believes in. Luffy just gave the guy a push that he needed. His presence and determination inspired him to take the risk, as big as it was, and do something he already wanted to do. That's what we truly love about the Straw Hat. If you go back to the beginning of the show and really think about it, Luffy never changed people so much that they became someone else, and he never wanted to. He always believed everyone should have a freedom of choice. Never once did he try to change someone's dreams, goals, or principles. In fact, he always showed understanding for everyone, even those who directly opposed him. The only thing he questioned was if the person in front of him is true to themselves, and the only opinion he wanted to change was the one that said, "It's not possible for me to do or be this thing." He did that for everyone in his crew except for Zoro, who didn't really need reassurance as he was set to become the strongest swordsman from the beginning. As for the rest, he gave them the opportunity to achieve dreams they believe would just stay that, dreams. This applies to his crew, other people who met him, and also those who just were lucky enough to see him from afar. It's genius how fan letter captures the core of our love for Luffy and decides that the character representing us wouldn't become another person after seeing him, just more courageous and true to himself. Now, our love for the Straw Hats doesn't have to be fueled by poetic reasons. A lot of times we like the characters just because they are cool, and that's what other fans in the fan letter are representing. The guy who loves Zoro is simply discussing who the strongest swordsman is with the fans of other grey swordsmen like Mihawk. Both of these characters have something to offer, and it's reasonable to have them as favorites because of the things they represent. But we also love them for just being drippy swordsmen who can cut mountains. In fact, most of the time it's the main topic of discussion, so having characters argue about who is the best is pretty valid. And so is adoring Chopper because he is cute. Tony Chopper is a great doctor who desires to cure every disease in the world, which is very admirable. And he is also so adorable that even a tough upper Navy officer can't help himself but be in love with this candy-loving ball of fur. Seriously, having a guy like this represent those who would die for Chopper. Mwah! Beautiful decision, 10 out of 10, and makes me remember all of the TikToks of the guys who were screaming his little song. Frankie is also a character that had many great moments and is overall just a cool person. His attitude, backstory, and skills are all things worth admiring. But he's also a cyborg, and that is the coolest thing ever. Two boys seeing him in a magazine and thinking it's the best thing they have ever seen is a simple and small moment that speaks so well on our behalf. It doesn't matter who you are and what you like now. Seeing Frankie do his robot things awakens your sparkling-eyed inner child who would kill to meet this pervy cyborg. But out of all the side fans from the special, my favorite has to be Brooke's fangirl. Not because she was significantly better than anyone else, but because I feel her on a personal level. This girl saw Brooke, heard his music, and said, "Yeah, this is my personality from now on." And honestly, who wouldn't react like that? We're talking about a living skeleton that is better dressed than 99% of the verse, plays his instruments, makes bangers, and is a pirate at that. He is obsession of every remotely out person I saw, and I'm here for that. Is he wise? Yes. Did he have many great moments in the show? Absolutely. But can anyone argue that he isn't the whole aesthetic? Never. Listed like this, these characters and their reasons might seem shallow, and that's fine. Humans are not always deep, and I firmly believe we are not supposed to be. We do enjoy simple things, and to insist that we have to think of a deeper, more intellectual reason all the time is kinda pretentious. And if fan letter went that route, it would have failed miserably. it wouldn't be as half as relatable as it is now, and the execution would most likely be terrible because 20 minutes really isn't enough time to deeply explore each character's motivation and behavior. The approach this episode took was simple but brilliant. It showed how great the feelings that Straw Hats evoke in us can be, and how simple things can be just as relevant. It knows that fans are not constantly in a state of philosophical thinking and searching for meaning in everything, just as it knows that we are not in it for superficial reasons alone. One Piece fan letter perfectly represents our love for the series, the reasons why we love the characters, as well as the general behavior in the fandom, thus showing how much it really understands us. All in all, fan letter is absolute banger, and I think it's a perfect episode to start hiatus that I'll use to finally catch up with the story. Like, it's already been 7 years since I started One Piece. I think it's time for me to catch up, because if I don't, I never will. As for why I haven't caught up yet, there are plenty of reasons, including everything from fuck the pacing, I need a break, to I'm not emotionally prepared for this, so I'll watch it later. But now that I'm in a risk of having endings spoiled, I have to give it my best. No offense to any of you who are reading manga, but you are genuinely shit. Like, okay, you don't have to put a spoiler warning for something that happened 10 years ago, but for fuck's sake, Elbaf just started. This shit was released a week ago, and you a-holes already ruined it for so many people. You're slowly becoming Jujutsu Kaisen fandom, and it's not a compliment. So yeah, I have to get my shit together. I'm currently in Wano, so it shouldn't be hard to catch up in 6 months, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, make sure to like and subscribe, don't spoil latest chapters, and see you next time.